Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Night. This week, we're talking about a movie from 1974. So, 3 guesses on who picked this one, and the first 2 don't count. Brian, why did you make us watch Devil Times 5, also known as People Toys?
So I'm sorry, and I want to tell you that it won't happen again, but it probably will. And here's the thing.
Yeah, the next one I think is gonna make it happen again too.
Yeah. What was it? Out of Dark, right?
Out of the Dark, yeah.
Out of the Dark. That came out in the 80s?
89, practically a 90s movie.
Okay, so I know that there is the 70s version of that, and I'm on a quest to find it. And you guys, unfortunately, are Cameron in this scenario, and I'm Ferris Bueller, and you don't want to go on these kooky adventures with me, but you're going to come. You're going to come.
Here's the thing. Out of the Dark, you had watched once before and said, oh, I think this would be good for the podcast.
I don't have time. So I don't have time to watch.
Nothing but time.
No. There's a lot of things I have to do. Question my existence is 4 hours a day.
You can question your existence with fucking Devil Times 5 while playing in the background to pick up that, this might not be the one for us.
Actually, I was questioning my existence as I was trying to watch Devil Times 5. You know how long it took me to watch this movie?
How long?
30 minutes.
Breeze through it. You didn't miss anything. So here's the thing. If I get one more Devil Times 5, I will stop this endeavor because this was painful, right? This was really bad. It was the same thing where I complained like a week or two ago. Well, I don't, our recordings are all messed up, but at some episode I complained that Amazon Prime only shows irrelevant scenes. And boy, man, be careful what you wish for because Amazon Prime showed the best scene in the movie. So there was no redeeming factor for my watch. The only good scene that I thought would be a good scene was shown in the fake trailer that Amazon Prime showed me. And that was later in the movie. So we'll get to that.
All right. So Devil Times 5, a.k.a. The People Toys, is a 70s film about a group of killer children. There's a lot of weird behind the scenes stuff. Essentially, the person who's listed as the director of this movie supposedly was dating the girl that plays the nun in this movie, who is very clearly a child. And he was fired and kicked off of the film, not for that, because it was the 70s and who cares, but because everything he shot was completely unusable. So we're actually watching the reshoots. These were the better versions of what this movie was going to be.
Ooh.
It's still pretty rough. It's slow. It's drawn out. I think the highlight of the movie is around the last 5 minutes when all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, we've still got 7 cast members to kill. And then it's just like death for like the last 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, this could have worked a little bit more if this was spaced out better, but yeah, it's bad. I don't ever intend to rewatch this, and I was a little happier not knowing it existed, honestly. But Brian,
yeah, it's a grindhouse filler, right? So you know how grindhouse movies have to have like those filler scenes. It's just all of those.
One of the notes that I mean, let me look at my notes. I actually did take some notes, and they're mostly from the beginning. Because I got tired of the bullshit very soon. All of these notes happen in the first 5 minutes before the actual credits. What is this music? What is this dude's hair? Then here's a quote. We'll just give her a bottle of scotch with a nipple on the end, and that should keep her happy for the weekend. And then there's the kids crawling around in the wreckage, and the little boy is like, got me a watch. And he's like, ooh, and a knife.
I wrote down that one verbatim because it made me laugh. He goes, hot damn, got me a knife. Woo!
Yeah. I like that little boy, though.
No, he's the star of the movie, honestly.
Yeah, I really like him.
Him and Ralph are all that this movie's worth watching.
Ralph is... What is Ralph?
He's
just dumb.
Ralph is of Mice and Men.
Yeah, he's basically the guy from Of Mice and Men.
He's Lenny. He's like, I want to pet some rabbits.
He actually says to the rabbits, the grown-ups, they're not like us. They make us take our pants off.
Yeah, they play weird games where you take off your pants.
That scene was so uncomfortable, so incredibly uncomfortable when she was like, "You're very strong."
I wrote down that he looks like Steven Seagal now. Like, he's like just like this awkward shaped man.
Here's what I don't get when they use characters like that in movies. I'm going to tread this as lightly as I possibly can.
Obviously.
So this person is 30 and they have the mind of an 8-year-old, right? Or something like that. And 8-year-old me didn't know why I wanted to see boobies, but I wanted to see boobies. So to make him that oblivious really bothered me.
Well, there's the line where she's like, "Have you ever been with a woman?" And he's like, "I had a mother and a sister, but they got squashed by a bus."
In the bus. Yeah. Oh my God.
And an 8-year-old would say, totally, tons of times.
You know, the awkwardness is saved when another woman walks into the room, and then we get this weird 60s cat fight with soundtrack and all.
And then the drunk lady comes in and she's like, "Whatever floats your boat, ladies."
Well, she goes, were you training for the Olympics?
Oh, yeah.
The movie, the point where I felt like this movie had really hit a point where I was like, oh, this is going to be bad, is the first kill.
The slow-mo kill? Is that, well...
I
the
said
first slow-mo kill?
The exact way that I wrote it was, this slow motion, dark, washed out murder is punishing. The soundtrack is theremins and cymbals, and then out of nowhere, an oboe solo, and then back to theremin and some cymbals.
No, I do like how the soundtrack for them is like straight out of Rugrats whenever they break out of their cage and they go on an adventure. It's like bum 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 bum.
I think it's important to stress cymbals, not a full drum set. It's just like with like a woo noise in the background the whole time. And I'm like, what is this? And it's going for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I understand the first kill, and I kind of understand a lot of the other kills, because the description on IMDb is that they kill the people who have wronged them or were rude to them. I don't understand what Ralph did that made them want to kill him beyond just a bloodthirst. And his like death is so bizarre. And unfortunately, him hanging from the noose is his IMDb profile picture.
Oh my God. You know, so we've had this happen before where somebody is like, their IMDb picture is of the movie that we're watching, but that is like in really poor taste to have his death mask as his IMDb picture.
That has to be someone else uploaded that. I can't imagine that this actor was like, you know what picture I want people to see when they're looking me up.
Honey, listen. Sweetie, listen. We've had this conversation on the show. IMDb is a fucking wasteland. No one cares.
But yeah, like essentially around the point where my note-taking started to slow down, because the only other notes I have are pasty man ass.
Yep, I have a man butt one too.
And then axe to the neck, quick zoom into the face. But I actually kind of was entertained by how many deaths towards the end of this movie are, you see something happen, and then it's like the classic shitty 70s, like freeze frame with the camera pushed directly into the person's face before cutting to the next sequence.
Yeah, they did a lot of that.
Yeah, a ton. But there's this weird mystery that's not a mystery amongst the people living there, where they're like, Ralph hung himself, and that seems weird. And then they're like, well, I'm pretty sure it was the kids that done did it. And then the other guy gets axed in the head, and the kid's excuse is like, some madman came just running out of the woods and hit him. And that's when they're like, I'm pretty sure these kids are murdering people. And then the kids are like, fuck it, they're on to us, kill them all. And then it's just like a 10-minute murder sequence. I do appreciate that the kids get away with it. Spoiler alert. It's a nice little 70s trope.
Well, they were shooting for, I think, they were very confident in this movie and were shooting for a franchise, because when I watched it, the end credits started with the beginning.
Yeah.
Like there was more to come.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I also appreciate it that I think I've made this reference once before, but fuck it, it's appropriate in this one too. They have that William Castle ending where it's like, no, we have to go to another house. And like at that point, I would have been perfectly content if one of them just looked straight down the barrel of the camera and said, "It could be your house." Because that's clearly what they're trying to insinuate is like, no one's home is safe from these 5 children that you could probably push over pretty easily.
This is the classic fucking puppet master scare thing, or dolls, like, are they really going to murder you?
Yeah. Are they going to hold you down? They're going to hold you. You're not going to be able to fight the strength of a 5-year-old when you're in a tub filled with fucking piranhas.
Oh, yeah. The piranha kill is so stupid, too.
And it's like the main image on IMDb. Like when you log in there, it's just like 2 legs kicking out with blood soaked in a tub. And as soon as they introduced the piranhas, I was like, well, I saw that picture on IMDb, so I'm pretty sure I know where this is going.
Well, it's a Chekhov's gun kind of thing where the guy menaces a piranha at one of the kids, and then you're like, well, because I didn't see that picture on IMDb because I didn't go on IMDb for this at all because I didn't care. But I knew that somebody was going to get eaten by piranhas because you don't put a piranha in a movie if you're not going to, eat somebody with them.
Use it for evil deeds.
You think the piranha would have been used on the guy who was torturing them with it, though?
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. Also, wasn't the main blonde woman's name Lovey or Lovely or?
Oh, I have no idea.
Like in the movie, the character's name is something ridiculous. So, but yeah, and I also love the fact that the cat fight that the blonde and brunette have.
And that's when I thought it was going to be a grindhouse, but it wasn't.
I think it's so funny that like their boobs fell out, but it wasn't. For a movie that seems like it really wanted to be sleazy, it didn't lean into the sleaze there at all. Like you get to see the hint of a nipple. Very strange.
Did you recognize the child who dresses in women's clothing?
No.
So I got confused because I thought I was half paying attention, but I thought that was the nun. So when you said that he was dating the woman playing the nun, it threw me off. But I did see that where he was wearing the makeup. Who was that?
That is the 70s child star Leif Garrett.
Oh, I meant like in regards to the movie.
Oh, yeah. No. The actor, it's like the closest thing they have to anyone who was a big name was that it was the actor Leif Garrett. This is like one of Leif Garrett's first movies, and he went on to be like a 70s teen heartthrob and like appeared in like Dickie Roberts as like one of the child stars in the ending credits of Dickie Roberts. Big break was in The Outsiders. He was one of the Outsiders. But yeah, prior to all that, he was a murderous child that dressed like a woman for a scene that didn't really go anywhere.
But what character was it? That's what I want to know.
That's what I mean. He was that kid. He was the one that was going to Hollywood. I'm going to be an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to Hollywood.
I must have missed that scene too. I'm missing this entire movie.
What I don't understand is the fact that I burnt through this movie so fucking fast and I know more about it than you do.
Yeah, and I watched it intently. I left my phone. Well, I got confused. It was a confusing movie.
It was a bad movie, Brian. There's a difference. Again, Brian, you're doing this 2 picks in a row where I'm like, we're at the 15-minute mark, and I'm like, I don't know what else I have to say about The Devil Times 5.
So what I guess I can help out by giving a quick little lesson to people. If you want to shoot something, they overused, and I can't talk about 70s cameras because I've never used a camera from the 70s, but if you're shooting today and you watch this movie and you notice that the slow motion scenes look like stop motion, like it's just like it's because their camera settings were all fucked up. And if you have a slow motion kill, at a minimum, you want that your FPS, your frames per second, to be at 30, and then your shutter speed to be at 60. And then that allows you to slow it down. If you have a newer camera and you can have your frames per second at 60 and your shutter speed at 120, then you're golden and can do some really cool action, slow motions. So I gave you a shitty episode, but at least you learned something.
They're entertaining, but they're uneducated. Boom! Take that.
Well, I guess we're not entertaining, but very educational this week.
Yeah, yes. You can only be one or the other. There's no way to combine both. The alternative title, People Toys, which like is what it's listed in a bunch of different sources. Like Wikipedia only has it available under the name People Toys, but then also admits that there's no real history that they could find of it being released under any title other than Devil Times 5. But because of the name People Toys, one of the positives about this movie is that it gave me an excuse to say for our Patreon episode, let's talk about our collections of actual toys, which will mostly just turn into me talking about my toys because I don't know how many Scott or Brian have. But the name People Toys, if that was the actual name that they released this under, not that really spoilers fucking matter at all. But it basically is just the last line of the movie. Like, it's the most uninspired title that you could throw onto this film.
When there were drive-ins and you were making these like very inexpensive movies just for like, grindhouse movies for a drive-in, the whole point was to give away everything because it was like, oh, people are going to be there, so might as well let them know exactly what they're in for.
I mean, my impression of the drive-ins, especially in the 70s, was an excuse to have sex in the back of a car while a movie was playing.
Yeah,
It was Netflix and chill before Netflix.
Yeah, I think Brian said that, yeah.
Netflix is really fucking up Netflix and chill because they're putting out good content. Like, Scott, imagine this. Or maybe you're not as much of a loser as me, but imagine it's your first time watching The Haunting of Hill House and Megan starts kissing your neck. What do you do?
Honestly, I say, stop. We're watching Haunting of Hill House.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You can't Netflix and chill with the content they're putting out. You Netflix, and that's it.
Well, and we've been watching so much Schitt's Creek, and no sex is happening during Schitt's Creek.
So we basically already slightly dipped into what did we watch this week. But first, let's dive back in to Devil Times 5 to talk about our double features. Hey, Brian, what did you watch with it or want to watch with this?
So I would probably redeem the night and not do a horror movie, but since it had a semi grindhouse feel, I'd pop on Coffee and we would watch Coffee after this, and that would be a good.
Is that a movie, or is that literally you just saying you want to drink some coffee?
Yeah,
it's a movie.
Okay,
it's a movie. It's starring the. It's awesome. It's so awesome. It's like one of the best grindhouse movies, and it's the woman who plays Jackie Brown,
Pam Grier,
and she's a nurse, and her sister is a drug addict who dies of an overdose. So she just kills drug dealers, and that's it.
That's super blaxploitation if I've ever heard it right there.
It's Pam Grier, of course. It's blaxploitation.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know where it was going to go. Scott, what was your double feature?
All right, so if I'm dealing with shitty child actors, I'm going with In the Mouth of Madness, because then I get to just do my favorite quote. It's Mummy's Day.
1994.
Wait, have you never seen In the Mouth of Madness?
No.
Well, it's on my long list. I guess I'm going to put it on my short list.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's awesome that he's never seen it. Brian, do not watch it. Probably in November, I'll pick it.
I'm going to do a weird double feature in the sense that I'm going to pretend that I'm watching the sequel to Devil Times 5, which is a Troma film that Troma just bought the rights to. They didn't personally produce it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Called Beware Children at Play, that is infamous for people walking out when the trailer for the movie played. The short version of, and the reason why I would never pick it for the podcast is because it's all about the last 5 minutes and the rest of the movie is complete trash. But it's about a town where for some unknown reason, the kids just keep turning murderous and killing their parents. And the last 5 minutes of the movie, which also in a brilliant Troma type way became most of the trailer, is just the parents murdering their children in the most horrific ways possible, just like one after another. Like, it's just like I would say it's about 2 minutes long of like 50 children deaths, just back to back.
Yeah.
It's insane, and it's like to the point like it's stuff where like a dad pulls out a gun and shoves it into his son's mouth, and then you just see his brain splatter across a wall that has a smiley face on it. Like, it is so graphic how they kill these kids. But it's like it's so poorly made. Like, the gore is so bad that it becomes hilarious. Feel free, Scott, to literally just look up the trailer and you'll see all the highlights of the movie. But yeah, Beware Children at Play would be my double feature, so I could see these 5 kids get their comeuppance. Anyway, so what did we watch this week?
Did we talk about Hollywood?
No,
we did not. But I think you and Brian liked it a little bit more than I did.
I really liked it a lot.
I was a little let down by it. I didn't. And I think it's just because I live in misery. I thought it was really good. I didn't like that everyone was so successful so quickly.
Yeah, and it's because it's wish fulfillment, and that's fine.
Yeah, like it was just like, oh, we're nobodies that, can't even get our foot in the door, and the door cracks open and it's like, we're big stars now. We're all big stars. You're a big star. I'm a big star. I will say, whatever his name is. I forget already, but the guy from
Jim
Big
Parsons.
Bang Theory. Jim Parsons, man. I loved his acting in that show so much. He was such a scumbag. And at first I thought he was a scumbag that was like redeemable. And I don't know if it's redeemable. There's just worse people. Like there's just worse people.
He's the least awful. He's the least awful of shitty people in the show is basically what he ends up being.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm glad that they did a miniseries, and it was cool that they kind of changed history of like what history could have been. But I would have 100% been okay if they did the long run series and it was really focused around a guy who wants to act but is stuck in a gas station being a male prostitute.
Yeah, give me 5 seasons of that.
That has legs.
It's too realistic.
Just him fucking his way to success.
Yeah.
This is just 4 seasons of that one episode of Mad Men with Joan and the guy from the car company.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll keep mine short. What did I watch this week? Is I heard a lot of good things about it, so I gave it a shot. The very short show on Netflix called I'm Not Okay With This. It was all right. I enjoyed it. It apparently is based on some comic book that I've never heard of. But it's from the same guy who wrote the End of the Fucking World comic book.
Oh, I liked it.
Yeah,
I like that show.
Yeah, it's so the thing that's funny to me is like I think we've hit this weird, I don't want to say problem, but like very clearly the best children actors that are around right now are the kids from It and the kids from Stranger Things. So
Absolutely.
It feels like every single time there's at least one of them in a movie, there's or a TV show, there's like 2 or 3 other Stranger Things or It kids there. And it's like, Jesus Christ. So this one is literally the show's 2 stars are Beverly and Stan from It, are the stars of the show. And it's fun. It's basically about a girl who may or may not have developed telepathy, Carrie style.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And trying to figure out if she's going crazy.
I did not realize that there was a like somewhat supernatural aspect to that show, so I am now okay with it.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's literally like it's 7 episodes, and I think the longest episode is 22 minutes long. So it's like there's a certain point where I was watching it where I was like, they probably could have cut like 30 minutes from this and just released it as a movie. Like it's like a good like 2 hours and 15 minutes of your time. Like you can just rock through it. But yeah, it was fun. It's kind of funny. It's charming. It's got some good gore. I was a fan, so I do recommend it. But a soft recommend. It's not like when I saw Never Have I Ever, where I was like, holy shit balls, this is the best thing Netflix produced all year.
And I haven't seen that either.
Yeah, Brian, are you doing? Was Hollywood yours as well?
I watched The Gentleman finally, and man, it's so fucking good.
It's such a return to form. Good. It's such a like it is Guy Ritchie going back to like what he did best in the 90s. Not a diss to like what Guy Ritchie's done in the last couple of years. Like I think he's very good at doing like those family action movies like the Sherlock Holmes films, but just like a filthy, vulgar, violent British comedy.
Dude, I mean, I look forward to, I don't know how to say this, but like I look forward to decades from now when we're older, and like I think that Guy Ritchie will go down in history. I just think he's one of the best directors. I think like him and Quentin Tarantino and stuff, which everyone knows Quentin Tarantino, and he's got the fame.
You mean the foot fetishist?
Yes.
So, real quick, I wasn't going to throw 2 in there, but real quick, I watched Death Proof again for the first time in a very, very long time. And that is the footiest foot movie that Quentin Tarantino has ever put out.
Oh, dude, it's insane. It's specifically when there's just a point of a leg just floating through the air for a couple frames, and you're like, man, he's putting feet everywhere in this goddamn movie.
Loves feet.
All right, well, that was Devil Times 5. We'll see how long this episode comes out in editing, but we got a pretty decent length out of it. And check out our Patreon for us discussing not our favorite people toys, but our favorite toys. And we
Don't
will
let
be
the
back.
man silence us. We had a Pepper talk. If it doesn't show up in this episode, Matt's trying to mute me and Scott. Don't let him bring us down. Peppers live on. Viva la Pepper!
So tune in next week on the podcast when we talk about a movie that Scott and I once did a commentary track for.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's a true fact. That one person will be like, oh, I know exactly what they're picking. And the rest of the people will be like, what kind of fucking hint was that? So check us out on all of our social media. It's in our comments. And tune in next week for another episode of Horror Movie Night.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.